So, guys, I was just about to go to sleep, but I just had to read another chapter of Start to Sleep. Man. Come on, man. I'm so hyped. I was feeling sleepy, but I remembered that I still have a chapter to read. So, I just thought that I should read Peak before sleeping, and it should help me get better dreams. If you know, you know. So, let's get started. Oh, I hadn't updated this. Let me update this. We are reading chapter 2968. Okay, and it's called Insurgency. On the other side of Hunger Domain, Jet watched as Kai leaned on a wall, breathing heavily. They were in one of the endless corridors of the Jade Palace, hidden in an alcove. Some distance away, the sound of footsteps could be heard, moving further away. They had just made it out of the ruining cell where Kai had been left when Sheshan and her sister departed to fight Astarion's war. Someone had appeared at the end of the corridor as soon as they did, so they had to hide. Jet had a feeling that the day would end in bloodshed, but she wasn't ready to clash with the thralls of the Ringswarm just yet. Not before figuring out her next steps, at least. She leaned she leaned out of the alcove carefully and looked around, making sure that there was no one else around. The situation was complicated. The world seemed to be coming to an end. The long domain had fallen, and Esther was apparently on the verge of wiping out Mordred. The last obstacle standing between him and a hovering feast of human souls on the chained isles. Nephis and the Lord of Shadows were nowhere to be found while Cassie had disappeared without a trace. She was either dead or hiding somewhere. Jet doubted that Cassie had become enthralled, because if she had, things would have been far more dire for everyone still resisting Astarion's control. After all, she was worse than a supreme capable of brainwashing people. And the Cassie is feared across the Dream Realm. Everyone fears Cassie. And to be real with you, it's a legit fear, man. You all know what she did to Saint Caw in previous chapters. Just grabbed him, that grabbed that crow, looked him into the eye, and wiped wiped all memory of ever existing wiped. Cassie is scary. A supreme capable of brainwashing people, getting getting his hands on a saint who could whisper into your ears from any distance, serving as a conduit of his wild power. That was worse. As for Jed's own situation, she had found Kai, but he was in a bad state. Not only was he missing his tongue, rendering his most fearsome ability useless, but he was also extremely weak. It looked like he was suffering from severe blood loss. Even though there were no visible wounds on his body, his essence was almost entirely depleted as well, and only starting to be replenished. What do you think we should do? She glanced at Kai's pale face. He met her gaze, remained motionless for a few seconds, and then pointed in the direction where the heart of the Jade Palace lay. Jet smiled darkly. An insurgency, huh? Take the Jade Palace while the respawn is away. Well, I suppose it's an option. We are 1.5 saint strong, after all. And let's not forget the little gremlin. I would say it's more than enough to defeat whatever guards that man left behind. The little devil hiding in the clove with them stuck out his chest proudly. Jet glanced at him, the corner of her mouth rising faintly. Then her expression turned grim. However, what then? Nephis and Sunny were bound to return one day, but there was no telling when that would be. Until then, Jed's mind raced, trying to come up with an actionable strategy. Eventually, she said, "We might as well escape into the waking world instead. Make our way to Antarctica and use one of the Category 4 gates to challenge the fourth nightmare. Naturally, chances that just the two of us can conquer one of those are slim, but it's better than simply hoping that we will be saved by some miracle." Kai looked at her for a long while, a slight frown seizing his brow. In the end, he simply pointed into the depths of the Jade Palace once more. Jet studied him, then looked in the direction where he was pointing coldly. A few seconds passed in tense silence. In the end, she chuckled. Well, who says that we can't do both? Let's take the citadel first and run away to the waking world later. No matter how strong the twin phone is, losing a great citadel is bound to mess with his power at least a little. And a little mess can go a long way in the middle of a fierce battle. Extending a hand, she summoned the mist blade and gave Kai a somber look. I must warn you though, if you are hoping that I will take Ravenheart like you did, Nightingale, without spilling a single drop of blood, I will have to disappoint you. That is not my style. Jet's about to slay everyone in her path when she's cold. Yeah. If you get the reference, she's dead, so cold. And her mentality is cold, so whatever. She paused for a moment, then added in a dark tone. There might not be a single drop of blood, but there will be a lot of corpses. Seeing his frown deepen, Jet pursed her lips. Curse that face. She looked away and added with a sigh. Alright, the best I can promise is to make sure that there are as few corpses as possible. Her specialty was destroying souls. That was how she defeated her enemies, and that was how she ensured her own survival as well. Jet was quite a fearsome presence on the battlefield, but one thing she wasn't really good at was achieving victory through non-lethal means. The people Asterion had left behind to guard one of his most important strongholds were innocent, though, in fact, they were probably someone Jet knew and had been on friendly terms with during her stint as the government envoy to the Song-Dawi. So it wasn't like she wanted to kill them either. The vacant and the ascendant would be easy enough to keep alive, but the saints, there had to be at least a few guarding the Jade Palace. They were a different matter. Depending on who it was, Jet could not promise that she could be able to defeat them cleanly. And there was no telling what other things the Dreamspawn had left behind. It was more than capable of enthralling nightmare creatures as well, after all. So Jet had a feeling that gaining control of the great citadel was not going to be as easy as she had made it sound. She remained silent for a second, then looked at the ravenous fiend. I will make sure to kill as few as possible. You make sure that Jade Palace does not burn to the ground, alright? The infernal thing just stared at her with its glowing fierce eyes and then shrugged. His meaning was quite clear. No promises. The fiend is a beast, man. Fiend, I hated Fiend because he was against us in the start, in Antarctica, where man, the battle between Sunny and that Fiend, it was epic, literally epic. They were brawling each other in the middle of the world exploding, man. That was simply epic, and the conclusion of that was also very, very peak. It was a peak, and now that Fiend is on our side, I liked him very, 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 very much. I like him very much. But that's the end of this short chapter, and I completed in record time, and I completed in 8 minutes. Usually it should take me 10 minutes to complete this short chapter, but I'm just too damn excited. I'm going to read another chapter of Shadow Slave, and if you like what you see in this video, if you like this content, be sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel, because you will get to see more of this content in future. And if you forget, I will remind you, after 100 subs I will start live streaming every day, almost every day. Every reaction will be on live stream first, then it will come on video. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.